E360 TV proudly presents messages of inspirational stories. Live streaming now to millions of devices, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, with your host, Donna, producer and host, Jim Grant, producer and host, along with Michaela Vidal, administrator and host, and Gaia Ginwa Balconi Wada, editor-in-chief.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Messages of Inspirational Stories. So today's show is about finding health naturally. Super excited about today's show. I found some amazing things that I never thought about in all my time of working within my own restrictions and limitations of what I need to do personally. But I just want to say, Jim is not here today. He's taking care of some things. And Jim, just know you're in our thoughts and prayers. But I want to give a shout out today, right? So at the bottom on our marquee, you'll see inspiration at e360tv.com. This is for you out there to go ahead and give us an email and let us know who you want to give a shout out to. So today, I want to shout out to everybody out there who, is maybe a little discouraged or struggling, trying to find their health and in a way that fits them, right? That in a way that they can really work into their lifestyle and all the way around. It works with your taste buds. It works within your budget. It works with the hours you work, your family. So, you might be discouraged, but just take it one day at a time, folks. Just one day at a time. So go ahead and email us again, inspiration at e360tv.com, and give us your shout out. We will let you know what day and episode your shout out is going to. So today, I read some articles in prepping for the show, and there were some things, guys, that I never thought of, and it really clicked and made major sense when I was reading this article. But this gal talks about how she does not enjoy food prepping, right? And I thought, for me, that's a little bit different, but I can get where a lot of people don't enjoy it, maybe especially for those who maybe don't like to cook a whole lot. That would make perfect sense. So she found a simple eating, learning how to save money, reduce stress, and spend less time in the kitchen. So she talks about, first of all, that she's became a little bit of a minimalist in her life. And that simple eating was inspired by her minimalist lifestyle, right? Because she dislikes cooking. And she said it's been a lifesaver. And she said that she's rarely stressed about meals. She saves a ton of money. And she's reclaimed her evenings as an added bonus and started eating healthier for it, right? And I thought, wow, why do you choose to embrace simple eating? So she said that because she doesn't like to cook, meal planning just doesn't work for her, right? And so there was a lot of waste in food. And also one of the big reasons that she became a food minimalist is because she wants to eat the food she's in the mood for. That was her biggest problem. So it says that she goes on to say that if I was in the mood for Mexican and I had planned to have pasta, I'd be really annoyed. I'm not good at making myself do things I really don't want to. So usually I abandon my meal plan and go out for tacos instead. As she needed more flexibility. Not only did I want to be more flexible about what type of food I was going to eat, but I also needed to be more flexible about when I ate it. For example, at my old job, I often worked late, and by the time I got home, I'd be too tired to cook whatever was on the plan that night. Instead, I'd find something else to eat, which would throw everything off, and by the end of the week, there would be just a bunch of wasted food. And that meal planning didn't work for her because she just didn't like it. And she said, I probably could have made it work if I tried harder to overcome it. But at the end of the day, she didn't have the motivation. It just wasn't her thing. So meal planning didn't fit into the lifestyle that she wanted for herself. Not a good thing or bad thing, obviously, it just is. So she said that she knew that there had to be a different way. And she started to rethink her approach about meals. And so as she went into her minimalistic lifestyle, she thought, well, gosh, why can't I do that with my food too? Perfect sense. So she said that it's a term that um, if you're not familiar with the term, the idea is simple. You have a small closet, a capsule wardrobe is what she's talking about. Probably should have said that first, right? But she said that it can easily be mix and match. And, for us women, right? And men too, we mix and match, right? If you've got a pair of black pants, you can wear anything with it, right? Blue pants, whatever. So she thought, why can't I do that with food too? And she said, so she took that approach in her kitchen. So instead of planning meals that she could create, that she would create a capsule kitchen full of foods that she said I love and use. So food uniforms to make her meal times easier. So the idea behind a capsule kitchen is simple. Stock your home full of your go-to foods that you know you love eating instead of shopping for meals. That makes a lot of sense. So she said what it looked like for her was a pantry stocked would be with rice, ramen noodles, beans, and tortillas, seasonal fruit, vegetables, cheese, eggs, and a small portion of meat. And then, of course, a selection of her condiments and spices. So it's, whatever you have. So she said, I rarely shop with any particular meals in mind, and I only use a list to remind me of what I run out of her pantry essentials. I usually buy one big portion for the week, like a lamb roast, and she'll cook it early in the week, and then they'll have a little bit every day. And for fruit and vegetable and cheese, generally buy less than I think I'll need. And I always make sure I love everything I buy. And I think that is so important. Love what you eat, right? And in balance. We have to have balance with everything. So she said, if you enjoy eating everything you buy and you don't overshop, you won't end up with a whole bunch of food waste. And since you're not worrying about recipes or planned meals, you can make whatever you buy work with most anything. So she said that when the weather's cool, her personal uniform is skinny jeans over, going back to the capsule, skinny jeans, oversized tanks, tops, ankle boots. But her food uniform kind of works the same way. She said there's, the basic structure. She says, I know I love eating stir fries, salads, bowls, like tacos or that kind of stuff. And so those make the foundation of every meal. And they're super easy and quick to make, even with someone with my limited cooking skills, right? So if you're really new to cooking, honestly, I think she said, I think I was 25 before I learned to cook stir fries, so don't feel bad. Or if you want some resources to help you, there's lots of articles out there, build your own bowl, how you can make a stir fry, how to make a perfect salad. And I think a lot of that comes down to your personal taste. So I've talked about it on the show before. I love to cook. I love to bake, and my husband loves to eat what I make. But I get tired, and even though we don't have, we're empty nesters and we don't have kids at home, doesn't mean there are days that you don't want to cook and that you're not tired. So what I do is when I make something, usually I make more of it. So like if I make meatloaf, I know we're going to have a meatloaf that night, and then we'll have leftovers over the next, in the next couple of days. But I make two, and then I cook that, and then I put it in the freezer. That way, I always have something I can pull out really quick. Something I did the other day. We love like Greek salads, right? So I just take chicken. I took some chicken out and I cut it up in little bite-sized pieces and I marinated it overnight. And then the next day I took it out and I cooked it. And then we have a food sealer, takes the air out and seals it, makes a nice little tight packages. And then I just label everything and put it in there. And then boom, that chicken will go for salads. And we'll have, a really yummy, healthy salad with some meat. And of course, you've got all your veggies in it and whatever else you want to put into it. We always put walnuts and craisins and stuff like that. So there's a lot of, if salads are your thing and you like meat in your salad, you can do that. Or like she said, just do one kind for a little bit. But I know in my household, we jump around a lot. So for me, food prepping isn't so much about, cutting out and making every meal ahead of time. I don't do that. But I do make, if I make a casserole on the weekend, I'll usually make two different kinds, two meals, complete two meals. And that's usually good for most of the week. And then just add different salads and veggies with it. And I think that helps a whole bunch too. And it's also that we're not real picky eaters. So, that can be an issue. And I think that this is a great idea if you have a food palate that is uh, not as, there's just some things you don't like. And maybe you're a little pickier than other people. And I think that's a great, great way of, finding what works for you and eating healthy because that is 90% of it. So, my own health journey, and I've been there, I was extremely overweight. I took my children many, many years ago, over 10 years, 12 years, I guess it's almost 12 years now, to Niagara Falls. And one of my children had taken a picture of me. And I didn't even look at the pictures on the camera for probably 5 to close to 6 months. And when I saw this particular picture of me, I was absolutely shocked. I recognized my hair, and of course, I knew it was me, but I really didn't recognize me because I had gotten so heavy and I didn't know it, right? I'm the kind of person, first of all, predestined to get heavy, both sides of my family. So I have to be very, very careful. But I also gain weight from my head to my toes. So it doesn't just hit my hips or just my thighs or my stomach. It's literally everywhere. So for me, it's kind of sneaky, right? It sneaks up on me. So when I saw that picture, I thought, oh my gosh, you have gotten really heavy and didn't even know it. So I started a journey to eat better. And one of the things that for me, have to be careful of is eating too much bread. And because for me, that can just be a real, real disaster. So I cut out bread. I would do, instead of doing a sandwich with bread, I would put it in a tortilla and make a tortilla wrap. And those are really good, but it doesn't have the same, tortillas doesn't have the yeast and all the same stuff that bread seems to have in it. And then, of course, more salads, higher veggies. I can make a whole meal of veggies and be happier than a clam. But it took me 2 years. And I knew, as heavy as I was, that I wasn't going to lose that weight overnight. And I knew I didn't gain it overnight. I wasn't going to lose it overnight. And I know that those, and I hate this terminology, but I'll just say it, the diets out there, or the people who promise you, oh, you're 45, 50 pounds overweight, we can get that off in a month. Okay, that's good. Little scary on your body. I would highly suggest you talk to a doctor first. But it's been my experience, and I think most people would agree, if you lose weight too quick and you're not getting your metabolism to come back on board, because that's part of it, guys. We've messed up our metabolism, right? Like as we get older, right? Our metabolism isn't as fast as when we were in our 20s. Kind of wish it was, but it's not. Um, so there's that. And then when you lose that weight really quick, and you're not really focused on where the problem lies and what's been going on, how you're eating, and you continue with that pattern, even if you've lost the weight will not only come back, but it usually comes back with a couple friends. By a couple friends, I mean extra weight. So that's why it took me 2 years to lose almost 100 pounds. And I still, even though I've kept that weight off, I still fluctuate and have to work on losing anywhere between 6 and 10 pounds all the time. Right now, I'm in that moment, right before the holidays. So good timing. But one of the other articles I found was talking about eating healthy. Now, this can be absolutely super, super confusing, right? There is so many conflicting things out there. Doesn't matter where you look, they can all conflict. And the tips that they talk about in this program, or this article, excuse me, I thought was really great. Eating a healthy diet is not about strict limitations, staying unrealistically thin, or depriving yourself of the foods you love. Rather, it's about feeling great, having more energy, improving your health, and boosting your mood. Eating healthy doesn't have to be super complicated. If you're feeling overwhelmed by all the conflicting nutrition and diet advice out there, right, you're not alone. I mean, it's everywhere. You read one article and you think, oh, this makes great sense. And then you read another article and it contradicts what this article read. And then you're like, wow, I'm totally confused. But, certain food we know is super good for you. And then there's some that we all know isn't real good for you, like eating too much sweets, right? Um, but the truth is that specific foods or nutrients have been shown to have beneficial effect on moods in your overall dietary pattern, and that's what's most important. So the cornerstone of a healthy diet should be, this is huge, and I'm a firm believer in this, is replaced processed food with real food whenever possible. Eating food that is as close as possible to the way nature made it can make a huge difference on the way you look, the way you think, and the way you feel, right? Processed food, and that's like cereal, right? Cereal in the box, it's processed, it's full of all kinds of stuff. So I'm not a big proponent on cereals. In fact, when I go to the grocery store, I never buy cereal for my husband. Every now and then he'll go with me, and he'll buy a huge bag of cereal, and it's the kind of cereal I would never buy and bring into my home. But, he's his own guy, and he can do what he wants. But I think one of the things that I learned with my health journey and losing weight, I gave myself a little bit of a cheat day. So what I did is I was really strict 6 days of the week. And then because I took bread out of my diet, I would allow myself like a piece of bread. So if I was, say I was making dinner on Sunday and I was going to make roast and mashed potatoes, maybe, green beans and a salad or what have you, I would maybe have just a little bit more mashed potatoes than I normally would. One of the other things I found that I did was I think as a rule, not everybody, but as a rule, we tend to overeat. Think about all the when you go to a fast food restaurant. Oh, you can supersize it, right? So you're eating more than we need to. Obviously, that means more calories. So one of the things that I did in learning to get my weight down is if whatever it was, say it was mashed potatoes, and I would take 2 spoons of it, right? I would work my way down to where I would only take 1 spoonful. And I would do that on everything except my veggies. I would obviously up my veggies. And so that was a big one for me. And over time, my stomach started to get smaller and shrunk itself, and I would get full quicker. So, using fundamentals of healthy eating and using these obviously as a guideline, right? So, extreme diets may suggest otherwise, but we all need a balance of protein, fat, carbohydrates, fiber, vitamins, and minerals in our diets to sustain a healthy body. But you don't need to eliminate certain categories of food from your diet, but rather select the healthiest options from each category. So we know what proteins do, right? Proteins give us energy to get up and go. They keep us going while supporting our mood and cognitive function. Too much protein can be harmful to people with kidney disease. But the latest research suggests that many of us need more high quality protein, especially as we age. And that doesn't mean that we have to eat more, animal products. A variety of plant-based sources of protein each day can ensure your body gets all the essential proteins it needs. Fat, that's a big one. Not all fat is the same, right? While bad fats can wreck your diet and increase your risk of certain diseases, good fats protect your brain and your heart. And in fact, of course, we all have heard about omega 3s, right? Those are vital to our physical and emotional health. So, including more healthy fat in your diet can help improve your mood and boost your well being and even maybe trim your waistline a little bit. If fiber, so, eating foods high in dietary fiber, so grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts, beans, can help you stay regular and lower your risk for heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. And it can help improve your skin and even help you lose weight. So, calcium, we have to have calcium, right? Because if we don't have enough, that can lead to osteoporosis. And not getting enough calcium in your diet can also contribute to anxiety, depression, and sleep difficulties. So, whatever your age or gender, it's vital to include calcium rich foods in your diet and limit those that actually deplete the calcium, and get enough magnesium and vitamins D and K that help calcium do its job. That doesn't go together without all of them working in conjunction. So, carbohydrates, right? Back to the potatoes. And I do love mashed potatoes. But carbohydrates are your body's main source of energy. But most should come from complex carbohydrates, unrefined carbs. So it should come from vegetables, whole grains, fruit, rather than sugar and the refined carbs. So cutting back on white bread, pastries, starches, sugar can help prevent rapid spikes in our blood sugar and fluctuations in mood and energy and a buildup of fat, especially around your waistline. Okay, so that's so far is a boatload of information. One of the things I did find out early on, and I wanted to tell you about, and it makes sense when you think about it. People talk about, oh, low fat yogurt or low fat sour cream or this or that. When they take that out, they have to do what? They have to somehow find a way to take the fat out and make it low fat. So at some point in there, there is a chemical alteration, because I don't know the process of each, but there is a chemical alteration to change it from, a full fat to a low fat. And I don't buy anything low fat because of the chemical alterations in it. So when I cook with, if I'm using sour cream, I use full sour cream, but I'm not living in it, right? I'm not living in each one of these. So I'm not staying there 7 days a week. But I feel that, having maybe a full fat is better than having it altered, because that alteration cannot be good for us. The other thing is that we have, this wonderful tool at our fingertips, and we have it either, we can look it up on our phones, we can look it up on our computers, um, but we can Google information and you can find out what foods are healthiest for you, what they have the most of. And the beautiful thing is, there is so much out there, so many foods, that even if, you're a little bit finicky and a little bit of a picky eater, you can find really good, healthy foods that work for you or work for your family. One of the reasons that, and it's ingrained in me, when my kids were young, I would just always cook extra because they always had friends over. And I didn't always want to cook a meal 7 days a week, and I still don't. So that's why I pre-cook, make extra, and then we'll have a couple things for the week, or put it away, and I put it in the freezer, and then I can pull it out and we have a meal. Um, I found that for me, if I guess that's a food prep type of thing, but that works for me. That works for me. And even if you don't have a whole bunch of people at home, maybe it's just you or you and your partner or a child, you don't have to cook huge portions, but then whatever works for you guys. But if you do that and you're already busy in the kitchen doing it, for me, it's a huge time saver down line. So, like when I make my sauce for my lasagna or my spaghetti, I make 30 pounds at a time. No joke. I've got it cooking on the stove for a full 8 hours. Um, and I freeze it, and I make lasagnas and freeze those, and I'll have sauce that I can pull out and either just make spaghetti, or one of my favorites is making zucchini boats. And those are fabulous, super healthy for you. I love making zucchini boats. They are really filling and they go a long, long way. Um, as as moms know, when you are the mother of active children, sometimes um, you don't ever have enough of anything because they eat so much. But some of these are really great for quick go tos on game day, right? Kids having games after school, they're extracurricular or through their school. I know I got caught off guard when my children were pretty young, and it seemed like it was always the most inopportune day for me because it's Murphy's Law. Oh, mom, I forgot to tell you we have this tonight or this tonight. And I'd be like going home and making sandwiches real quick so that they would have something to eat, because I knew we weren't going to get home till 8 o'clock at night. So I always would try and have, I always would have um, ham or turkey or something like that, or make them tuna, something that was good and healthy, not too full of sugar. But that's a big one. That is a big one. And this uh, goes on to say, in this article, it says switching to a healthy diet doesn't have to be an all or nothing proposition, and you don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to completely eliminate foods you enjoy, and you don't have to change everything all at once. That usually only leads to cheating or giving up on your new eating plan. A better approach is to make a few small changes at a time, keeping your goals modest can help you achieve more in the long term without feeling deprived or overwhelmed by a major diet overhaul. Think of planning a healthy diet as a number of small, manageable steps, like adding a salad to your diet once a day, or your small change becomes habit, and you can continue to add more healthy choices. Setting yourself up for success. So, this is huge. To set yourself up for success when we're trying to be healthier in a more natural way, right? So we're eating a healthier diet, but it again doesn't have to be complicated. Instead of being overly concerned with counting calories, for example, think of your diet in terms of color, variety, and freshness. Focus on avoiding packaged and processed foods and opting for more fresh ingredients whenever possible. So, I make I make sure we have fruit here, and that goes in my husband's lunch every day. Right? Grabbing a fruit, cutting up an apple, putting it in a baggie, sending it on his way. It's a much better idea than, a bag of potato chips. Prepare more of your own meals. Okay, so that's just kind of what I talked about. Um, it says that you can help take charge of what you're eating and better monitor exactly what goes into your food. You'll eat fewer calories and avoid the chemical additives, added sugar, and unhealthy fats of packaged foods and takeout foods that can leave you feeling tired, bloated, and irritable, and exacerbate symptoms of depression, stress, and anxiety. So, not knocking fast food restaurants, but it came to me in an article that I read that was, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was based on absolute fact that the fast food industry uses more fat, more salt, and what was the other one? More fat, sugar, more fat, salt, and sugar. And those are added into the ingredients in what their foods are, which is a quick hurry up, and you're now addicted to that, whatever it is, that hamburger, that taco, whatever, because of those three things. And so when I read that, I was like, wow, that makes sense. So cutting back on unhealthy foods, right? Replace them again with your healthy alternatives. Trans fats, replacing dangerous trans fats with healthy fats, such as switching fried chicken for grilled salmon or grilled chicken, makes a positive difference in your health. Switching animal fats for refined carbohydrates, though, such as switching your breakfast bacon for a donut, won't lower your risk for heart disease or improve your mood. Reading the labels. Oh my goodness. And it's important to be aware of what's in your food, as manufacturers often hide large amounts of sugar or unhealthy fats in packaged food, and even food claiming to be healthy. How scary is that? So, one of the things that I've always found horrifying is the amount of sodium, right? Too much sodium isn't a good thing. The amount of sodium that is in so many packaged foods, right? If you do, I don't know, kind of, I want to call it like the rice and beans that you add whatever to it, and you put it in the pot with the water, and you cook it. The amount of sodium in that, or the amount of sodium in like some of the ramen noodles in the little packets. The noodles themselves don't have it, but the I think, don't quote me on that. But I know that the packets, that they flavoring packets, are super super high in salt. So that's really important, is understanding that when you read the labels and understanding what's there and what's hidden. This one, oh goodness, pardon me. This one is focus on how you feel after you eat. That is huge. And this will help foster healthy new habits and tastes. The healthier the food you eat, the better you'll feel after a meal. The more junk food you eat, the more likely you are to feel uncomfortable, nauseous, or drained of energy. And drinking this one. So I never used to when I was younger. And you see me on the show all the time with something to drink. It's usually either coffee or water, and that's about my two all I drink. Um, pardon me. But drinking plenty of water helps flush our systems of waste products and toxins. Toxins are huge, right? We get dehydrated, being dehydrated causes us to be tired, low on energy, headaches, and it's common to mistake thirst for hunger. So staying well hydrated makes you make healthier food choices. So I'm trying to remember, but I want to say that it's like 5 or 6 8-ounce glasses of water a day for an adult female, and like I think it's like seven or eight, um, somewhere around there for an adult male to be fully hydrated. And most of us everywhere go around dehydrated and we don't know it. Also, one of the things you can do is drink water um, right before you eat, so you're not eating so much. That's another good tip. Drinking water first thing in the morning kind of gets your body going. Um, Moderation. This is so important to any healthy diet, folks. It means eating only as much food as your body needs. You should feel satisfied at the end of a meal, but not stuffed. And for many of us, moderation means eating less than what we do now. But it doesn't mean eliminating the foods you love. Eating eating bacon for breakfast once a week, for example, could be considered moderation if you follow it through with a healthy lunch and dinner, but not if you follow it through with a box of donuts and a sausage pizza, right? So, um, off limits. I hate that word. I don't like the word diet, and I hate the word, you got to eliminate it. That's why I always gave myself a little cheat day. And that was just one time, like if I made my kids pie, an apple pie, my cheat day, I could have one little slice. But I would always make sure instead of a full slice, it would be half of a full slice. So I'm just making a moderation to what I normally eat. Um, the off limits, if you ban certain foods, it's natural to want those foods more. And when we feel like a failure, if you give into that temptation, right? So start by reducing portion sizes. It says of unhealthy foods, but I honestly believe if you're like me, like I was, and you want to lose weight, start reducing your portion size. And I did it by the week. So I would start with a little less than what I'd normally take, and I'd do that for a week. And then the next week, I'd take a little bit less and then follow that through. And that helps your portions be in a healthier balance where we're at and what we need. So as you reduce your intake of the unhealthy foods, you may find yourself craving them less and only think of them as an occasional indulgence. And I will say that I believe that's true. I used to eat potato chips. Of course, my kids were home, so you always have potato chips when you have kids at home, right? And then when I changed the way I ate, I no longer desired to have bread. I no longer desired to have potato chips. I no longer desired some of the things that I used to think were amazing. I would find they would be too sweet, or they'd have too much salt in them now. And so I found I just sort of phased them out. And I'll have an occasional few chips, but I got to tell you, I probably eat chips maybe 3 or 4 times a year. It really helped me out. So on this goes a little more into thinking about smaller portions. So dining out, choose a starter instead of an entree, or split a dish with a friend. What I do is if we go out to dinner and I order something and it's too much and I know I can't eat it, I'm fine with that. I'll pay for the whole dinner and I'll just take half of it home, and then I have dinner for the next night or lunch for the next day. Um, so, visual cues can help you with your portion sizes. Uh, your servings of meat, fish, or chicken should be the size of a deck of cards, and a half a cup of mashed potato, rice, or pasta is about the size of a traditional light bulb. By serving your meals, this is a great one, on a smaller plate. So instead of your large dinner plate, go to the lunch plate. You trick your brain into thinking it's a larger portion. And if you don't feel satisfied at the end of the meal, add more leafy greens or vegetables and round off your meal with some fruit. Take your time. So, this is a big one. It's important to slow down and think about food as nourishment rather than just something to gulp down between meetings or on the way to pick up the kids. It actually takes a few minutes for your brain to tell your body that it's had enough food. So eat slowly and stop eating before you feel full. That would probably be one of my hardest things. I tend to eat fast, and it's a habit, and my children haven't obviously been at home for a long time. And I ate fast because I was always trying to hurry up and eat my meal while it was hot. And I know you moms out there are nodding your head or laughing or agreeing with me. But you know what I'm saying. You got tired of eating cold food, right? So it is a habit that I still eat too fast, and it's right. Then my brain doesn't tell my stomach you're full, and I think, oh, I'm still hungry. I'll go have another spoonful. And then when I eat that and I get up, and then I feel like, oh my gosh, I just had Thanksgiving dinner times six, and I feel miserable. I absolutely feel miserable, and I hate that. Uh, Limiting snack foods in the home. So, being careful about what you keep there. So, change it over. If strawberries are in season and you really like strawberries, um, buy strawberries and get them ready to go and have them in little snack bags so you can take them with you to work, or you can put them in the kids' lunches, and try and control emotional eating. That's a big one. We turn to food to relieve stress or cope with unpleasant emotions such as sadness, loneliness, or boredom. But by learning healthier ways to manage our stress and emotions, we regain control over the food we eat, your feelings, and then you know what? You're not going to feel like you just let your own self down. There is nothing worse, in my opinion, than feeling like I've left myself down. One of the things that I like to do when my children were little is I would always make their sandwiches, and they'd have to decide the day before. And they were usually always like, yeah, we'll have ham, or yeah, we'll have turkey or tuna or whatever. But their snacks, I would let them pick out their snacks and what they have. So, in your journey into maybe healthier eating and healthier snacks, you can just do that with your kids. So you can have, a banana and some strawberries or some apples cut up in a baggie, and then let them choose what snack that they want to have for the day. The thing I love about doing that with children is, think about this, right? When we're little people, our mom, of course, moms and dads were there to protect our children, but they're learning and they absorb everything, and we know they absorb more than we give them credit for. But this gives them a little bit of control, like that they are the one who gets to think about and choose. Do I want the apples or the strawberries today? I think I'll have the strawberries today. And they feeling really good because they made a decision again, and it's based on what sounded good to them. Instead of maybe they wanted strawberries and you gave them apple, again, okay, maybe their taste buds are a little different than ours. So I love the idea of setting up little snack area in the refrigerator that our children can decide what snack that they want, and then having a healthy snack, grapes. Um, Grapes are wonderful. And of course, everyone's family is different, but we have so much out there, all different kinds of apples and vegetables and fruits that we can do. I bought some canned peaches here a while back. And if you're around my age, we only grew up with the heavy syrup ones, right? And I think they put, for a little can of peaches, I think they put maybe a gallon of sugar in each can. And I bought these peaches that had no sugar, they were just peaches. And they were absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. They were so good. Um, and I was surprised. I was really surprised that canned peaches um, could be so good naturally. So I'm like, okay, because we can't always get peaches, right, all year round, or at least where I live, I can't. So there's all kinds of options out there in what we can do. And I think it's important that when we have children at home, they're learning by absorbing what we do on healthy patterns, right? Just like school. They know they have to go to school, and we tell them, well, you need a good education, you need to be able to read, you need to be able to write. Same thing. They need to understand why eating's healthy and explain to them, okay. And they say, well, Mom, we used to buy these little peaches for me, maybe the pre-done ones that are kind of in the heavy syrup. And now we get these. How come? And just explain, what? Because these are so much healthier for us. They better for us. They don't have so much sugar in them, and sugar can be really bad for us. And by explaining it to them, it makes sense to them, and they usually accept it, boom, just like that, and go on. So, one of the other things that I learned to do is this was a biggie for me, and I a little hypoglycemic, right? So I get dizzy spells and my sugar gets low. But one of the things I do is I tend to snack often, right? I am probably eating a little something about every hour to every 2 hours. And it might be some fruit, it might be a few slices of cheese and maybe a couple crackers with it. It might be grapes, it might be part of a banana, but I am eating something every few hours. What I learned in my journey of losing weight was that I am now keeping my body in a fat burning mode, right? Because I was so overweight for me that my body was going to go into fight or flight, right? It was going to say, whoa, 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 we're not eating that. We're not having that much. Now we're going to store more fat. And then by feeding yourself healthy choices and doing it maybe a little more often during the day, we don't eat as much when we do sit down to eat. But we also keep our metabolism, if I can say the word, metabolism burning, right? It's always in the fat burning mode. And so your body never feels like it's starving. And whether we're hungry or not, our internal, right, our internal system will say, oh, you're not feeding me. Now I'm going to store everything to fat. Well, we don't want that, right? We know that that's not a healthy place for us to be. So having those choices of eating really healthy. And, same thing with your children. Have them have a cheat day. Say, okay, I'm going to give you a cheat day once a week for school or twice a week. and you can have, you know, your favorite little whatever that you buy, or that you make. That's even better because that's another idea. You can make something together better, more healthy, and have more time. And they're learning a skill with you that's going to last them a lifetime. And I will guarantee you, folks, that your children will always have special memories of you guys making something together and them learning how to do something with you in the kitchen. My mother told me once, learn to cook and learn to cook well. And I said, okay, and I started cooking at a very, very young age. And she said, and I'll tell you why. She said, you spend over a third of your life eating. And if you have to eat every meal out, or even 50% of them, you're going to be eating unhealthy and you're going to be spending an awful lot of money. And, the older I got, the more wisdom I found in her words. And I think it's important that we show our children what finding health naturally is about, and that it isn't an issue. It becomes just our life choice of making better, wiser choices for eating healthy. And I think it's a fabulous way for our children to learn from us, for us to teach our children and set them up early on as little people for success when they're all grown up. And then, when they're out and they spreading their wings on their own, we don't have to. That's one less thing as a parent that we can take off our plate, that we worry about on whether they're going to eat healthy because they've been brought up that way. And they know it's okay to have a little bit of a cheat, but you can't live in it, right? That's the difference. You can have a little bit of something, right? You buy a whole half gallon of ice cream, you can have a little bit of it, but you don't want to eat the whole thing at one serving. So, kind of same thing with our children. Well, folks, we are truly at the end of our show, and I am so glad that you were here with me today. I hope that you've learned something. Share this with somebody who might need a few new ideas to help them find their health naturally. And please don't forget to email us and let us know, who you want to shout out to. It'll come into our staff and it'll get to us. But join us again tomorrow. Have a beautiful night. And please make sure you give yourself grace. Bye-bye, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.